Attila the Hun, leading an army of 100,000 mounted invaders, stood ready to burn a defenseless Rome to the ground in 452 AD. That is, until a fateful meeting between Pope Leo the Great and Attila himself halted the invasion, turning the enemy horde away from Rome and out of Italy. What was said and what then followed is still debated. A calculated moment of strategy? Or, as legend describes, a miracle. Running Horse Mission Directive is simple. Jump back in time. Rediscover the events leading to the meeting between Pope Leo and Attila, and just maybe see something else manifest. Joining us? Subscribe. Time waits for no man. The Huns, nomadic horse masters of Central Asia, crossed into Europe around the 4th century. Using superior cavalry tactics and advanced weaponry, Gothic lands fell in a wave of bloodshed across Germania. Leading the barbarians? Attila the Hun. Known to the Romans as the Scourge of God, a warlord who expanded an empire from the Black Sea to the borders of Gaul. Now, unified under a massive confederation, the Huns occupied the boundaries of Roman Italy. Fearing a mobilized Hun army, the Byzantine Empire to the east struck a deal. Annual tributes of gold in exchange for peace. But no such treaty was brokered with the Western Roman Empire, and Attila's gaze locked in on Italy, on Rome itself. How to wage such a war with legitimate claim. And it came to Attila in the form of an unexpected proposal. Honoria, princess and sister to Valentinian III, emperor of the Western Roman Empire, a defiant and independent woman trapped in her brother's imperial court. Her latest affair, a palace chamberlain. Scandal stirred across the empire. To silence such gossip, Emperor Valentinian arranged for his sister to be married in haste. Honoria, furiously and in an act of petulance, did the unthinkable. In secret, a letter was sent from the Roman palace marked for the king of the Huns. Attila, holding court in Pannonia, near the Tisa River, opened the letter. Inside, a plea for rescue and Honoria's signet ring. Interpreting the words as a formal marriage proposal, Attila claimed Honoria as his bride and demanded half the Western Roman Empire as her dowry. Valentinian, of course, rejected the claim and denounced his sister's reckless act as a grave mistake. But the damage was irreversible. The Huns had their casus belli, case for war. Invasion was imminent while Honoria entered history as a Helen of Troy. Attila's opening off the chessboard miscalculated. Instead of attacking Italy, he invaded Gaul and was defeated at the Battle of the Catalonian Plains, near the Champagne region of modern-day France. One of the bloodiest battles in ancient history. But even in retreat, the man's resolve remained unbroken. Come spring, his army would cross the Alps into Italy and claim Honoria's dowry. The Hunnic invasion of Italy had begun, and the city of Aquileia stood as Rome's first line of defense. A gateway guarding the Italian peninsula. It fell within weeks. Townfolk either slaughtered or enslaved, spreading fear and panic across the empire. Noble families controlling historic cities abandoned their fortresses and fled to the Holy City. Rome had no army and no emperor. Only the Church of St. Peter remained, serving as Pontifex Maximus, Pope Leo I. In what was seen as both a spiritual duty and a political necessity, Pope Leo, dressed not in armor, but in holy robes alongside 2 Roman envoys, rode north to meet the most feared warlord in history. Attila waited to receive the approaching delegation, only a 10-day march from the Aurelian walls. The Pope approached, no sword in hand, speaking as the vicar of Christ, with unshakable authority. The king of the Huns stood frozen, eyes focused on the beyond. Standing behind the Pope, 2 beautiful figures, St. Peter, holding a mighty sword, St. Paul, standing in silence. Radiant, terrible, and with divine fury, Attila, who had razed cities and humbled emperors, stepped back in fear. He withdrew his army and left Italy. Hun armies would never again set foot on the peninsula. Pope Leo I would take on the title, the Great, and be canonized as a saint. Attila the Hun would die 1 year later on his wedding night, after suffering a suspicious nosebleed. This is what we know to be true. In 452 AD, Attila the Hun stood within striking distance of Rome. Pope Leo and Attila had a conversation. And then, the army turned. Why? Was it plague, famine, an offer of gold, or divine intervention? subscribe. The debate continues. Running Horse rode back to view this legend in honor of the newly appointed Pope Leo XIV, the successor to St. Peter and the namesake of Pope Leo the Great, who once said, "Though the church is set in the midst of raging storms, it remains unmoved, founded on a rock."